Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of It's Not Luck with your host Nicola Charlotte, the podcast where we dive into debunking some of those myths and stereotypes of what success is and actually look at the behind the scenes tangible contributions such as habits, mindsets, behaviors, conversations that are actually what underpin the success that we see on social media, on paper, and kind of on the headlines. So this episode is kind of a three-part episode where we're going to be diving into 3 mindset shifts to help you kick off your June with clarity, confidence, and a real sense of energy and inspiration. We're going to dive into how you can stop overcomplicating things, how you can make your life and business easier, and why following trends is something I have never got my head around and is something that I am strongly against as a business owner, but also my thoughts on them and you know why I find them so interesting when they come about and people kind of hop on them. And then finally, kind of setting an intention for June, but it's something that you can do regardless of when you're listening to this episode. And actually you can do it on a weekly basis as well. But it's something that I am such a big advocate of and have found to be so powerful yet simple when it comes to achieving goals, staying motivated, being disciplined, regardless of whether you are a business owner or working in corporate or somewhere in between. So I hope you're all doing super well. I am here with my cup of tea. If you are watching on YouTube, hello, good morning. If you are listening, hello, good morning. Get yourself a cuppa, a drink. Maybe you're heading out for a walk. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is 8:03 in the morning when I am recording this. I tend to feel most inspired and motivated and focused first thing in the morning. And I tell you what, there is something so satisfying with doing a chunky piece of work first thing, knowing that by the time it gets to 9 o'clock, you've already ticked off a big task, a big goal on your to-do list. And that's that whole saying of swallow the frog. And honestly, it is something that I would highly recommend. So if you're later on in the day today listening to this, have a think about what you can do tomorrow that you can just kick off the day and do straight away, and then head out to a coffee shop or go get yourself a nice breakfast. Do it in bed even. You know, it doesn't mean we don't need to be doing it at our desk. So this kind of ties in quite nicely with the first topic that I want to speak about in today's episode of what if things were easier? And isn't that just a great question? Because if we're being honest, we're always looking for kind of easier routes. We're not lazy as humans, but if there's an easier, more efficient way to do something, then it would be silly not to follow that route. And this is a question that I actually, by the time you're listening to this, I will be asking it today in the Expander Club, but I've already prepped the session for that. So today, this is a question that we're going to be diving into in the Expander Club. But it's this question of how can I make this easier? And this can be applied to any area of your life. I'm thinking of it specifically with the Expander Club in business because we're going to be looking at high ticket sales strategies. So how to convert those high ticket customers or clients in a way that feels easy. And I know, having spoken to, thousands and thousands of women and having worked with nearly 300 business owners and founders and sort of heads of function, that we do have a tendency to overcomplicate, to catastrophize, to think that things need to be harder because if they're more complex, then that almost looks more successful. But this is your reminder that there is always going to be an easier route. And easy doesn't mean lazy. Easy is actually clever because you are saving time, you're saving stress, and it's probably going to be more enjoyable as well. So is there an area of your life at the moment where maybe you're stuck against something, whether it's a fitness goal, whether it's to do with your relationship, maybe it's to do with your career, where things just feel like there's resistance, where it's hard, where maybe you're procrastinating on doing something because it feels like it's going to take too much time. And with the example that I'm going to be using in the Expander Club is what's worked well in the past, because I guarantee nine times out of 10, the goal that you're striving for or the change that you're seeking to create, you have experienced that before, or at least a version of. So if you're a business owner and you've signed a client before, then you've done that before. Now, what worked well in the past? Because there's almost this misconception that we need to constantly be coming up with new methods or new strategies or new processes to hit the goals. Whereas let's look at what's already worked. So if we're thinking of a non-business example, maybe it's to do with a fitness goal and you can't seem to motivate yourself to go out and do a run or to go to the gym or whatever it might be. So it's what would help you in this situation? What would make you going on a run feel easier? It's putting out your gym kit the next day. It's having a really good playlist. It's planning your route out before. It's going with a friend. It's having a good breakfast or dinner the night before so you've got energy. That would make that process easier. In the same way that if you're a business owner, your existing clients are an incredible source of new clients. Your past clients, providing they had a good experience, are an amazing source of referral. It's not lazy and it's not weird to ask them to help you fill a spot that you have left for coaching or a product that you have available. Because if you know that they had an incredible experience and you've seen the transformation that they've experienced or the shift that it's helped them with their life, depending on what, whatever industry it is that you're in, they're going to want to help other people. So rather than reinventing the wheel, ask yourself, what if it were easier? What would be an easier option here? What would be an easy next step for me to take? And actually just sitting and journaling on that, I can guarantee is going to unlock some really obvious ideas. And it's such a great question because this is how we lean into flow. We say if this was easy, what would I be doing? Or if I didn't have this block, what would that mean? And just start coming up with loads of ideas. Ask other people as well. That's one of the beauties of being in a community. One of the reasons why I created the Expander Club is so that you can ask people, I'm in this situation, what's worked well for you before? Don't be afraid to ask people who have done what you're wanting to achieve or are already doing that thing, because that's an easy route. Easy is asking someone who's already done it or who is already doing it how they got there, rather than trying to figure it out on your own, rather than spending hours on Google or ChatGPT. It's lean into knowledge, lean into expertise, and use that to your advantage so you can fast track your speed of growth or your speed that you're going to get to success. So I'd really invite you to come back to this question and lean into this idea of ease for the month of June and see what comes up for you. It's a little bit like we're moving house this week, actually at the end of this week when you're listening to the podcast. And we decided to hire a removal company, which our friends recommended to us, who come in on the day of moving, pack everything up. So they literally go from room to room, cupboards, clothes, everything, the bathroom, kitchen, pack everything up, dismantle all our furniture, take it to the new house, reassemble the furniture, and then put the boxes in the right room. Now, it's a cost, obviously. We could save money by doing it ourselves, but that would be stressful. That would take a lot more of our time, and both of our time is valuable, especially me as a business owner and my husband, he's in sort of his time is valuable as well. So the value of paying for someone to do that is greater than the stress, the time, the just chaos that could otherwise unfold if we tried to do it ourselves for the sake of saving, I don't know, £800, £900. I mean, the cost is more than that, but we'd have to pay for someone to do the moving anyway. And then I'm thinking, what if we pull a muscle in our back? What if we trip down the stairs? What if we cause, what if we knock something on the wall when we're moving out? And that just causes ultimately higher cost. So that's a very practical example. And obviously that is a financial decision as well, but that would make it easier. And so there's little ways in different areas of your life that you can create more ease and open up to more ease. And so it's about understanding what the priorities are for you, but also looking back at what's already worked before and leaning into that. Okay. And I'd love to know, by the way, what comes up for you. Do share, because there's probably things that we all overlook. and think that there isn't an easier route, or they're just things that we haven't even thought about. So please do share them in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, or feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at Nicola Charlotte Coaching. So moving on to the next segment, and this is kind of there are three random segments here, but when I was brainstorming what I wanted to talk about, these are very real kind of current thoughts and things on my mind. So I just thought, you know what, we'll compile them together into 3 sections. This one's to do with social media trends. And I think this one feels so prominent because there's one trend going around at the moment, which is the propaganda I don't agree with. And I'm not going to be joining that trend. And I really don't get trends on social media like that. In my mind, as a business owner, predominantly creating sales and income and signing clients through Instagram, I don't want to be blending in. I don't want to be following the crowd with these trends that make me just be another business coach, mindset coach on Instagram. To me, trends are blending in, not standing out, not looking like a thought leader. It's just unoriginal. And I want to have a voice that is authentic to me. I want my page to feel 100% like me, my personality, my vibe, my opinions. I want to be seen as a thought leader because I believe I am. And therefore, I don't want to follow trends because once you're hopping on trends, you're already behind. Now, I'm not saying I'm someone who has loads of original ideas that I'm constantly talking about, but I definitely stay away from talking about like the things or following the trends that everyone else is talking about, because that's just blending in. And it sort of, I don't think it diminishes your expertise, because some of the things that people are saying with this sort of propaganda I don't agree with, I resonate with. Like, I'm not saying the content I don't agree with. I just find it a bit strange when people hop on these trends. I don't know what the purpose is there, because it's not original. It's not unique to them. It doesn't strengthen their brand voice or their visibility. It just sort of, as I say, makes them blend in. That's my thoughts on this. And a sort of analogy that's not business related is almost like if you were to constantly change your personality to fit in with whatever group you were in, a bit like kind of chameleon vibes of wanting to fit in. So you sort of say the same thing, or you adapt your thoughts or your beliefs to the group that you're with. And you therefore blend into the conversation. You don't have any original thoughts to share. You're not disagreeing. You're not coming up with a different opinion or taking a different perspective. And it's the opposite of leading a conversation, or it's the opposite of coming to the conversation with really original thought processes. That's my take on it. So if you are a business owner and you're listening, I would almost just invite you to pause before jumping on these trends, especially if you are someone who wants to be seen as a thought leader, who wants to build credibility, build expertise. And one of the kind of strategies that I teach within my content system that I use with all my clients is kind of an authority style content, which is where you talk about your opinions, where you talk about things that you don't agree with, where you show up with confidence on like the way that you like to do things. It's not I'm right, you're wrong. It's this is what I believe in. This is what I know works. This is based on my expertise. That could then turn into a trend that other people follow. Now that is empowering. And that's super cool to see. So it's like, could you try and start a trend? Because you're leading that trend. So you're ahead. The people following it are the ones behind. So maybe it's coming up with a series. Maybe it's coming up with a phrase. It's kind of coining a term. I just think that to me is how I want to show up on social media. That's how I would like my personal brand to evolve, is on the forward foot rather than on the back foot, if that makes sense. And outside of business, it's like, are you being intentional or are you being reactive? Are you standing up for what you believe in? Are you calling out people whose opinions you don't agree with? Very much in a healthy discussion, by the way. I was listening just earlier to the Skinny Confidential podcast. I'm pretty sure it's still called that. And they had Piers Morgan on as a guest, who actually I really rate. I know he's controversial, but I think he's a very intelligent man. He makes a lot of very valid and fair points. And he was saying one of the biggest symbols of intelligence as a human, and once again, this is his opinion, but I actually agree with it, is when you can change your mind in a conversation. There are so many people that are so stubborn and so stuck in their ways that they almost just don't even entertain the idea of listening to someone else's point of view because they have their views and they believe that that is black and white. And actually being able to go into a conversation, share your thoughts, share your opinions, listen to someone else's, and then maybe be like, do you know what, actually? Yeah, I've changed my mind. I see your point of view. I agree. Like, that's such a sign of intelligence and strength because you're not afraid to admit or articulate that maybe the belief that you had held for so long, you don't adhere to anymore. So, anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but it comes back to this idea of having a unique point of view, having your set of beliefs and values, but also being open to other people's, and kind of it's that emotional intelligence of recognizing when maybe what you had believed for so long is outdated now, or not being afraid to challenge someone else. And I'm definitely guilty of this. I'd say I'm a lot better, but it's that people-pleasing tendency when it's as petty as I can always think of examples, like you're watching a reality TV show and someone says, oh, I hate that character. And in your head, you're like, oh, I quite liked her. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, I don't like her either. I mean, that's such a petty example, but it's sort of, you can almost practice strengthening your voice and standing for your beliefs in those examples, which are just pretty menial, and say, oh, no, I really like her for these reasons. Or, oh, interesting that you don't like that character. What's the reason behind that? Like, I think being curious is so valuable too, like being open-minded, listening to other people's opinions, because that's ultimately how we learn. And that's how we evolve our way of thinking and our beliefs as well. So that was the segment number 2, is being mindful of social media trends, why I don't personally follow them. But also kind of the bigger outtake there is owning your voice, standing firm with your beliefs and being open to other people's ideas or thoughts in case you want to change your own. Okay, moving on to the next segment. And this is coming back to the present moment of June. So if you're listening to this in the future, this is absolutely still applicable. I almost do this on a weekly basis, but definitely on a monthly basis. And you can start in the middle of the month. That is not a problem at all. And it's using the start of a month or the start of a new week to reset and to set the tone for how you want the week ahead or the month ahead to go. I am a firm believer that we really get to choose these types of things. We can be a passenger in life and go through the motions, live on autopilot, see what happens to us, i.e. be in this sort of reactive mode, or we can be intentional. We can set the tone. We can choose our energy. We can decide how we want to feel. 100% every single day, I firmly believe that we get to choose that. So at the start of a month, what I like to do is choose a word that's almost like an anchor for the month ahead. Now, these could be words like clarity, positivity, magnetism, abundance, visibility, fun, adventure, like any word that comes to mind. By all means, choose one or two. And the idea is that you align with this word at the start of each day. So if you're connecting in with your chosen word, let's say fun, and you connect in with that word at the start of every day, you are going to have more fun each day as a result. Versus if you don't have that intention, it's very easily that days will go past where you're not really having fun because we're just creatures of habit. We go through the motions and it's an easier option. So what's one word that you would like to align with in June? Have a think about this and please do share. I would love to know. I'm not sure what my word is yet, actually. I was thinking about this before. I quite like the idea of visibility. I'm wanting to do like kind of call in and attract more opportunities that put me on bigger stages, that allow me to speak to bigger audiences. Obviously, I'm still wanting to grow my YouTube. So visibility to me feels like quite a good word. And I do also like the idea of fun, like having fun. It's June, the evenings are light. We're moving into our new house. We've got a garden. So just like having fun in the day to day. So maybe I'll go with those two. I'll let you know if I change. But this is so that you can have this anchor throughout the month, so that you can make decisions with this word in mind, whether it's to do with your career, whether it's to do with relationships, your fitness goals. Those words still align. They're like 360 words that you can embody in everything that you do. So the journal prompt that you can come back to is like, how would I show up this week if I led with insert your word? Or how can I incorporate insert word into my day? Or what would insert word, let's say fun, look like today? And just asking yourself that question, you then think through the day, okay, what's coming up? Who am I seeing? What spare time do I have? How can I incorporate that word? And it doesn't need to be big, grand gestures or things that cost loads of money. If like adventure is something, you can create a mini adventure in your day. You know, you can go a different route, work in a different coffee shop, do like a fun dinner setup at home, try a different recipe. Like all of these little things are still relevant to that word of fun or adventure. So this is a reminder really that you don't like it. It kind of comes back to the first segment of what would feel easy. Like this is an easy way to experience more joy, more fulfillment, more satisfaction in your day to day. And if every day you are doing something that aligns with the vibe or the tone that you are setting for your month, that's already success, regardless of the big wins or the big goals that you're ticking off. It's often these simple little strategies, which make it sound serious, but like simple habits that create the biggest change. Because if each day, if we think of it as like a chart on one of those tick box charts, if you're seeing 12 days of ticks, constant ticks, that's going to make you feel good. That's going to also hold you accountable. So maybe that's what you want to do, like create something physical that you can tick off every day when you can say, okay, this day I have successfully incorporated my word, or I've successfully shown up with this word in mind. And that means that every day you're winning. And if you're winning every day, that's going to shift your mindset. That's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you show up. It's going to create discipline. It's going to instill positive habits. So it really is a win-win situation. And you can have a word for the month, or you can have a word for the week. Maybe it's going to change. But it just gives you that sense of purpose and intention behind what you're doing. And it also allows you to focus in on specific areas of your life or your goals that you're really wanting to bring to fruition. And with so many different options out there, whether you're a business owner or you're thinking of it from like a personal perspective, there are so many things that require our time. Our fitness goals, our relationship, our friendships, our own mental health, our career. Like it's not surprising that people end up going through the motions and then think, gosh, it's been a week since I even opened my book. So it's like bringing intention to the things that matter most to you. And we can do that by setting these anchors, creating these habits so that we are putting our energy into the things that matter and that we are expanding the areas of our life that we want to see growth in. So let me know what your word is. Let me know what comes to mind, and I would love to hear how you get on. So just to wrap up, what if it were easier? That's the first question to ask. Give yourself a June reset. How do you want this month to unfold? How do you want to feel? What are your non-negotiables? What are you letting go of? That can, block out an hour, take yourself to a coffee shop, do it in bed, wherever you feel comfortable, and really be intentional for this month of how you want it to unfold. The more intentional we are, the more success we see. It's when we get distracted, when we lose focus, when we start comparing ourselves, that's when we get further away from the goals. That's when things feel harder. And are you leading with intention, or are you following the crowd? Are you blending in? Are you choosing the easy option, but that's actually not beneficial. And let me know how you get on. I would love to hear. Anyway, thank you for listening. I am off today to take my mum for a belated birthday lunch. We are going to a rooftop restaurant in London, which I am super excited for. One of the little traditions that I have started relatively recently, I guess in the last sort of maybe 4 or 5 years, is taking each of my parents on a one-on-one outing, event, lunch, whatever, on their birthdays. My parents are still together, but I think it's so nice to have one-on-one time just with each parent, because when do you actually get to do that? And I'm very fortunate that I can. They live in London, I live in London. So yeah, I'm taking my mum for lunch to a rooftop restaurant and it's going to be divine. So I will tell you what that was like next week. This podcast episode might be the last one in the season. I might do one more next week and then going to have a little pause and we'll come back, so that it's not just an ongoing stream of episode after episode. And I've got a few guests in the pipeline that I'm waiting to hear back from who sound really keen to come on. So next season we will have more guests. Do let me know if there are specific industries or expertise you would love to hear from. I will be able to get them on, whether it's mindset, health, business, relationships, whatever it is, let me know. And I will do my very best to find experts to come on and have a conversation with me on the podcast. But for now, please make sure to give this video a like or subscribe if you're listening. Your rating review means so much. It helps the podcast reach more people. And it just shows me that you are taking value and enjoyment from these conversations. Thanks so much and speak to you soon. Bye.